This content features my AI-generated voice and an AI avatar. The content, opinions, and professional assessments are entirely my own and are based on my original materials. Using advanced technology allows me to bring you new content more quickly, more consistently, and even more up-to-date insights. Now enjoy watching and listening.
Hello, I'm Dr. Martin Baxman. You know, we've all had that moment. You're right in the middle of a critical procedure. Everything is flowing perfectly, and then your assistant has to leave the room. Maybe it's for a specific tool, maybe it's for the clinical camera. It doesn't matter. In that instant, it's not just about the lost time. You've just broken the professional flow of the entire practice. Today, we're going to dive into this hidden inefficiency, and more importantly, how you can eliminate it for good. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll uncover the hidden costs of all that chaos. Then, I'll show you a surprisingly simple tool to actually see the wasted movement in your practice. After that, we'll challenge a common myth about productivity. We'll wrap up with 2 concrete steps you can take right away. And finally, look at what it feels like to achieve that perfect Swiss watch rhythm. This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of it. That moment an assistant leaves the chair side isn't just a small delay. It's a fracture. It breaks your concentration, it stalls the team's momentum, and you know what? It also subtly changes the patient's perception of the care they're getting. It's a tiny event, but it has some pretty significant ripple effects. Okay, let's jump into our first section. The real problem in most practices is often hiding in plain sight. We're talking about unnecessary movement, probably one of the most overlooked and costly forms of waste we deal with every single day. You see, what we're all striving for is on the left, a Swiss watch rhythm. Every movement is deliberate, efficient, and purposeful. But the reality for so many of us, if we're being honest, looks a lot more like the right, a chaotic mess, people rushing back and forth, constantly reacting instead of being prepared. That gap between the ideal and the reality, that's where our efficiency goes to die. And this is the core concept. Every extra step your team takes, every time they have to search for a supply, it all adds up. And this isn't just about losing a few seconds here and there. It's a constant drain on your team's energy, both physical and mental. And when they're drained, your patient flow inevitably slows down. The good news? This is something we can actually measure. And because we can measure it, we can fix it. So how do we begin to fix it? Well, we start by making the invisible visible. You really can't fix a problem you can't see. So let's talk about a powerful but incredibly simple tool that will make all this hidden waste crystal clear. This really is the crucial question, isn't it? If all this wasted motion is just part of the daily routine, how on earth do you spot it to eliminate it? Well, the answer is you have to map it out. And the tool for that is, believe it or not, very low tech. It's called a spaghetti diagram. It's as simple as it sounds. You take a floor plan of your practice and you just trace the path a team member takes over a couple of hours. Follow them with a pen from the treatment room to the sterilization area to the front desk, back to another room. You just draw the lines. And let me tell you, it's called a spaghetti diagram for a reason. Because when you're done, the result often looks like a tangled mess of pasta on a plate. But within that mess, the problems become immediately obvious. You see the repeated trips, the inefficient office layout, the supplies that are stored in the wrong place. It all just pops right off the page. And these are the movements that create that tangled mess. We're talking about the big things, sure, like an assistant walking to reception and back 5 times. But it's also the micro movements, constantly reaching into 3 different drawers for one procedure, getting up and down from the chair because something isn't within arm's reach. Every single one is another strand of spaghetti draining your practice's time and energy. All right, now I want to talk about a really crucial mindset shift. We have this tendency to think that being busy or physically active means we're being productive. But I'm going to argue that in a clinical setting, the exact opposite is often true. And here's an interesting way to think about it. A tool most of us have, a simple fitness tracker, can actually tell a powerful story. Your team might be proud of hitting their 10,000 steps during the workday, but in our environment, that high step count could actually be a massive red flag. Think of it like this. Let's say you see 30 patients in an afternoon, and at the end of it, your tracker shows 12,000 steps. That doesn't mean you had a highly productive session. It probably means you were disorganized. It means you were running back and forth, chasing down supplies, and working inefficiently. It's a sign of chaos. Now, contrast that with this. What if you see the same 30 patients, that same workload, but at the end of the day, your tracker only shows 1,500 steps? What does that tell you? That tells you everything was prepared. That points to extreme discipline, excellent systems, and a state of true, uninterrupted professional flow. And that's the key takeaway here. We need to completely reframe what productive looks like. In the confined space of our practices, efficiency isn't about covering more ground, it's about making every single movement count. In our world, less is definitely more. Okay, so we've identified the problem, we know how to measure in a new way, so what do we actually do? Let's get practical. Here are 2 actionable steps you and your team can implement literally tomorrow to start untangling your workflow. The action plan is beautifully simple. 2 parts. Step 1 is diagnosis. You have to visualize the problem. That means getting the team together and drawing that spaghetti diagram. Step 2 is the intervention. You use that activity data we talked about, not as a punishment, but as a new kind of team challenge. For step 1, I really encourage you to make this a team exercise. It's not about being perfect, it's about starting a conversation. Once you have that visual map, you'll immediately see the low-hanging fruit, the routes you can shorten just by reorganizing a single supply cabinet. Then comes step 2. Turn it into a positive game. The goal is not to stand perfectly still, of course. The goal is to work smarter. When you challenge your team to complete their work with fewer steps, it forces better planning. It forces everyone to think ahead and make sure each room is fully prepared before the patient even sits down. So let's wrap this up by focusing on the why. Why should we go through this effort? Because making these changes isn't just about saving a few minutes here and there. It's about fundamentally transforming the entire feeling and environment of your practice. For you, for your team, and absolutely for your patients. And you see, when you eliminate all that physical static, all that wasted movement, you preserve your single most valuable resource, your team's cognitive energy. This means everyone can direct their focus where it truly matters, on the complex clinical thinking and decision-making that leads to excellent patient outcomes. And this is the ultimate payoff. When you finally untangle that spaghetti, the whole practice can take a deep breath. The atmosphere just gets calmer. Your team isn't completely exhausted at the end of the day. And believe me, patients feel this. They sense that calm, professional flow, and it gives them a much higher sense of confidence in the care they're receiving. So I'll leave you with a question to think about tonight. What does the spaghetti in your practice look like? Can you picture those tangled lines? And more importantly, what do you think you and your team could really achieve if you finally decided to untangle it? I suspect the improvement in efficiency and insanity might be even greater than you imagine.